Evening, everyone. Welcome to this CPD session, which has been given over to Arbor Management Information System, Teacher Twilight, because that's what they call it. So that's why we've titled it with that. Just before we start, a couple of things about safeguarding. Obviously, we've got our safeguarding review on Wednesday. Margaret will mention this in briefing, but just to remind you about your everyday practices, really. Your lanyard needs to be on, you sign in through inventory, and your lanyard needs to be visible. It also needs your green card in behind with your details for the child protection officers. In addition to that, there's your registers. They need to be done, need to be prompt, need to make sure a student has a reason to be outside the class written in their planner. And if you have any visitors which are expected on Wednesday, can you please ensure that those systems are followed for that, please, in terms of them signing in, them being accompanied at all times, unless there's a DBS check taking place. And if there has, you should have spoken to HR about that in advance. Okay. We sent out a survey just to review the knowledge last week based on the training that we've done over the last 6 months or so. The questionnaire form was emailed last Thursday and reissued in the bulletin. It's just going to help us evidence the current levels of understanding that staff have of procedures, policies and training. The questions and the answers are as follows. The answers are given in yellow. And the last three. And the last two there, a little bit of discussion amongst staff about, whether you discuss it with the child or just report it on CPOMs. You do discuss or ask the child, but that must be done in private. So just a little kind of like addendum to that you must ask the child in a private situation, in a confidential situation, not in front of the class, before recording it on CPOMs. So to tonight, the content is as follows. I'll let you read those. And there may be other things that you want from that, but that will be coming in January. So if it doesn't cover something, do let us know, but it's likely that there'll be training on that in January. Of importance, please know that if you create a room layout or seating plan tonight, it will not be saved, it will not be transferred. Tonight is about learning how to do that, and do learn about it and do experience that so you can do it more quickly and efficiently in January. And managing attendance and behaviour also. A few more notes about the training session. It's a national training session. We might be joined by other schools. Our usage and knowledge will develop over time, so we're not expecting staff to know everything by the start of January. Just the content from today or any other specific training such as the SPLs. We'll get some extra from Rachel a little later on this evening. Staff have been emailed a form for questions and queries. It'll come to you actually around about 3 o'clock, 3:30, that'll come through, and put any questions on there, and Nick and myself will issue a fact sheet before the end of term on that. Okay, so without further ado, I'll let Nick move over to our Zoom and the start of the training. Thanks very much.
For this session, we're going to be looking at the Teacher Twilight and also at My Classroom, which is the seating plan section of Arbor as well. We're going to look at the Teacher Twilight first, so how to navigate the system and find your information, and then we'll go into the My Classroom area. So first of all, the first thing you'll need to know when you try to access the system, you will be given your school's URL. You should receive that via an email, and this will be based on your work email. So whichever email you receive this to, you just need to enter it within the login page. Obviously, it will not look like this. This is a test site, so it will have your school logo, hopefully, and school name as well. And the first time you come to log in, you need to click on this first time login in option. This will allow you to create your own password.
Hi, Rebecca. Sorry, just to quickly jump in. We've actually got them logging on to our current dummy site with our own data, and we've got the login with Microsoft button for single sign-on. So, just to let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So in which case you don't need to worry about this. You should be then straight into your site that then should look like this, but with your own logo. So you may already be familiar with this front page. So as a teacher, you will have some facilities that are available to you. First of all, the logo acts as a home button. So anywhere from within the site, you can click on this button. It will bring you straight back to this home page. You'll be able to see who you are signed in as and sign out using the sign up option here. You have access to the Arbor community directly from your site. This will allow you to chat to other Arbor users, join some forums, and ask any questions directly from there. You can also access our help center from this area. Our help center is designed to help you find extra information about the system. You'll also find any product updates here. We do change our products on a regular basis, so do please keep an eye on those. You'll also be able to find any past recordings or videos to help with any extra information that you may need. You can type any question in here. So for example, if you were looking for my classroom information, as you start to type that information in, it will give you a number of options available and articles on how to use that particular area of Arbor. So for example, how to open my classroom. If I click on that article, it will take me through to a guide where you'll find lots of screenshots and explanation of how to proceed and how to launch it or find the information that you need directly on there. You're also going to be able to see the information divided into sections. So as you scroll down, you will find guides, articles, and frequently asked questions on all of the different areas. So for example, again, here, if you were looking for my classroom, there is a my classroom section. You can also find information on the portal, any interventions such as how to set these up, census questions, etc. This opens on a separate tab. So once you've finished looking for the information that you needed to, simply close it and you're back to your home page or to your own site. You've got a chat button down here to access or contact our help center team. So if you do have any issues that you can't find the information on the help center, you will be able to access help from here as well. There's also a notification center at the top right-hand side of your screen. You'll be notified of any student notifications, any behavior notifications if you're using those, but this could also be any reports, for example, that have been shared with you or scheduled that you're notified are available, or any communications that have been sent out and you'll be notified that that has gone already. You will also have a search bar below. Here you're going to be able to search for students, staff, or guardians within here. They are making improvements to this search bar and they have just released extra facilities to be able to search for phone numbers, postal addresses, postcodes, and courses and classes as well within here, and telephone numbers. So you're going to be able to search for a general search now across your Arbor system. But simply start typing a name in. You'll then be able to see a divide below within the drop down of any students, guardians, or staff available here. Simply click on the item that you're looking for to access that profile, for example, or if you click on view all results, this is going to take you to our deep search where you're going to be able to find all of the results for this academic year, all of the results for even students that have previously been enrolled and left the school already, or you're going to be able to search for specific academic years here as well. From here as well, just clicking on the student, the staff, or the guardian will take you through to the profile. On all of the profiles, you'll have a all sections drop down where you're going to be able to find further information on the student. So for example, if I need to see Rebecca's medical details, I can click on the medical information and see the medical details for this student. You can click on the add button to add more. Arbor is a permission-based system, so if you have the permissions to change or edit something, you will be able to see this as green. If it's grayed out, it means you don't have the right permissions for it. On a student profile, you will also be able to find their emergency contacts on the top right-hand side for quick access. And as you scroll down, you do have the family guardian contacts on this page as well. You'll be able to have a quick overview of today's attendance. You can download and print a profile and a timetable here if you so need to, and you can also log any notes or meetings for a student directly on that home page. The left-hand area of the student profile will allow you to delve deeper into the information about that student, whether you want to look at their behavior, if you're using this on Arbor, their attainment, or even looking at their life calendar, for example. So this left-hand navigation will allow you to delve a bit deeper into the information about that student. You also have here the educational needs section, where you're going to be able to find all of their details about their educational needs, SEN status, special educational needs, native languages, etc. From any area on Arbor, you are going to be able to favorite the page or bookmark it. Using the blue star within the URL section, you will create a bookmark for that page. It will then add it to your bookmark bar at the top. You can also create folders here. You can also duplicate your tab by right-clicking on the tab at the top. You can select duplicate. This will allow you to open a second window identical to the one you already have open. This allows you to do two things at once. So for example, as well as being on a student profile and maybe running a report on a different tab, anything that you change on one tab will not affect the other unless you physically refresh that tab, at which point those changes will then take effect on the new tab if it needs to. Coming back to our home page now, you also have some navigation menus across the top. Your My Items drop-down will allow you to see information about your own accounts, your calendar, so your timetable, and your classes. This My Classes area is going to allow you to see all of the classes that you teach, how many students are within that class. You'll be able to see the mark sheet for that class once this has been set up on your system, and record any behavior if you're using this on your system as well. When you click on the enrollment for this particular class, you can click through to the students directly from here as well. This opens a slide over, and clicking on the name or the picture of that student will take you to their profile. You can perform some quick actions from here as well. So these are the same quick actions that are going to be available from that home page too. Your students drop down, your all students and browse student page is going to allow you to see a full list of students within school. So without using that search box, if you want to see a full list of your students in school, you're going to be able to find it here. You can look at it as a profile view with the student pictures, or you can look at it in a list view where it will just show you the list of students with their first name, last name, date of birth and reg form. You can search for a student on the page using the search bar at the top, and you can also filter the students on the page by using the filtering option. So anywhere on Arbor where you can see some green funnels means you can filter the information on that page. Using your filters, you can use your drop downs to narrow down the information. So if I want to see, for example, anybody that is within my circus skills course, I'm going to be able to apply that, and it will just bring through those students on that page below. And I'm going to be able to access those profiles by clicking on their names from here directly. I'm also going to be able to access information about students that have joined partway through the year, and I'll be able to use my filters to select a date range, my leavers, and even my birthdays. This is also where you can bulk export student profiles and data collection sheets from here. Anywhere where you can see a download button means you can download this information on the page using either Excel, PDF, Word, or even a live feed. Anywhere where you see tick boxes next to students' names, you are going to be able to perform bulk actions by multi-selecting. The blue pen is going to highlight, and your options will be available in the drop-down. So from here, for example, I can create interventions, add them to intervention groups, or send a communication to the student or guardian directly from here. Other items within the student drop-down will be attendance information, behaviour, demographic reports, as well as any medical reports and guardian information too. Within the school navigation drop-down, you're going to be able to find information about different school activities, staff, where you're also going to be able to browse your staff on the system, communications, the custom report writer, and any other timetables, for example. From this homepage, you'll also have access to some shortcuts. So instead of using these menus across the top, you're going to be able to find shortcuts to go to the Browse Student page or Browse Staff page directly. You can also find your classes directly by using your shortcuts instead of going through My Items. And you're also going to be able to find your cover, for example, and information about your account. You'll also have some quick actions that you can perform from here. For example, taking attendance will allow you to access your timetable, so your calendar, where you'll then be able to click on the lesson that you want to take attendance for. You're going to be able to log behavior if you're using this in your school, and even send communications directly from here. You will also have access to your calendar and calendar items directly from this page. You'll see all of your lessons for today and the next couple of days that are available in the calendar area. Clicking on the My Calendar at the top takes you to your overall view calendar. However, just clicking on the lesson will take you directly to your lesson dashboard. So if I wanted to go to the lesson dashboard for my lesson starting at 2:30, this brings me directly to my lesson where I'm going to be able to take register for it. The lesson dashboard is going to allow you not only to log information within your class or within your lesson, for example, login behavior. You can download a printable register for that lesson and download a student list. When you download a student list, you are going to be able to select specific items that you want to include on your list. So a bit like a report, you're going to be able to select any of these columns within this left-hand area and add them to your student list. So for example, if you wanted to have guardian information, you can start typing the word guardian in the search box instead of scrolling down. Clicking on that column that you want to add, so the primary guardian information, and dragging it to add that column will then add that information to your report. You could also add items such as medical conditions, SEN statuses, demographic backgrounds, telephone numbers, contact details, attainment, and even attendance information. Once you've added all of your details in your list, you're going to be able to sort it, collate it, and also download it to either Excel or PDF. You're also going to have the facility to add any attachments to your lesson dashboard. This is a really great tool if you know you're going to have a planned absence, for example, and you wanted to add any cover resources. You can add them as an attachment to your lesson dashboard. Anybody who has then allocated to cover this lesson will have access to these, and you won't need to leave things on the desk. These can just be added directly here. You're also going to be able to find general information about your lesson. So if any behavior incidents have been added to a student that is in your lesson at any point today, you're going to be able to see this in the behavior section. You're also going to be able to pull through extra contextual information about your students. You'll see here below the list of all of your students within your class. And you're going to be able to see 4 columns by default. The school can choose 4 columns to show you here. I've chosen in my school to show pastoral notes and behavior information. You can choose extra information to show using the drop down above. So if I want to see if they are EAL students, free school meal, pupil premium, and have a medical condition, for example, I can select these in the drop down, click on apply, and this is going to allow me here to show extra columns to see contextual information about my students in class. From this area, you will also be able to multi-select any of your students, and using your bold action pen, you'll be able to add behavior, but also send communications to the students or guardians directly from here. This is also a downloadable report, so if you did add extra contextual information and you wanted to download it directly from here, you can. To take register for a class, you'll need to click on the Take Register button. This will open up to an hour before the start of the lesson. When you click on it, it will open your register in Profile View. In Profile View, you're going to be able to see your student pictures, and you're going to be able to select the attendance mark using your mouse, clicking on either present. It will then highlight it green. If you click on late, you'll be able to add how many minutes late they are and a note. This will highlight them as a yellow color. and you can mark them as absent. If your school chooses to allow you to add specific attendance marks, you will be able to use the drop down and select the relevant attendance mark for that student if you know the reason for their absence and put a note in. Or you may find that when you are clicking on absence, you don't have the option to use the drop down and it will just show you a no reason option. You can also skip. So if you are waiting to see if that student is going to come in because they're running late, for example, you're going to be able to skip them. You can also view your register in a list view. Clicking on switch to list view at the top will show you the list of your students and a drop down instead of those tick boxes. So here I'm now going to be able to select in a drop down the present, late or absent. Again, you'll have those same options for absence if it's not restricted the marks, or you'll be able to select present, for example. If anybody has a pre-planned absence, it will show automatically on the register. So you will know that they are not expected to be in class today. You will see the absence note duration. So I can see here that Darren is due to be off from the 2nd until the 8th of December, and we can see that he's unwell. So the mark is already filled for me and I don't need to do anything with this. You can fill all of your marks in bulk as well. So say, for example, you've added everyone that's present in, or you've marked anybody that's absent already. You can mark all of your blank students with either a present or absent mark in bulk. So for example, I'm going to imagine that I've marked everybody that's off already. Everybody else is present in my classroom. I can select mark all blank, click on present. It will show me a pop-up with all of the students that don't currently have an attendance mark for my lesson. And I can mark all of these students at present in one go. The mark all blank option is also available at the top of the register page. When you're done, you can either click on Return to Lesson Dashboard or the back button. The register saves automatically for you. You don't need to worry about anything else at this point. As you scroll down to your lesson dashboard now, you're going to be able to see the attendance marks that have been added for all of your students. If you have marks N1 absent and they do come in late, for example, you will be able to click on the mark at this point in here and edit it to quickly change it to a late, for example. As well as being able to take register from your lesson dashboard, you're also going to be able to have an overview of any demographics of the students within your class. It will show you a breakdown, and you're also going to be able to click on a demographic indicator showing you the list of students that fall within that demographic. Clicking on their name will allow you to go to their profile to find more information, and you're going to be able to perform bulk actions from here, such as sending communications or adding them to interventions. You're also going to be able to pull through a list of students with a medical condition within your class as well. This will show you their pictures, their details, and also any medical conditions, including symptoms and treatments here. These are then all downloadable. As you'll notice, you've got a download option here on the top right-hand side. Coming back to our main home page now. We've seen how to take register and find our details about our classes and students. We're now going to look at the options on the center of this page. First of all, at the top, you can see you've got 3 boxes, a to-do box, a student alert box, and a school notice box. Your to-do box will be populated automatically for you with any items that you need to perform an action against. So for example, if you are using behavior and you have a behavior incident assigned to you that you need to resolve, it will populate in your to-do box. This could also be any follow-up items that might need resolving. Here you will need to click through to each item individually in order to clear it from your to-do list. Your students alerts will pull through automatically for all of the students that you teach or that you are linked to. These could be anything to pastoral notes having been added or to birthdays, for example. You can click into your student alerts to see them in bulk, and you will be able to multi-select them and using your blue drop-down pen, dismiss these in bulk. You can also dismiss them one by one from the home page by clicking the cross button next to the alert as it appears. Your school notices will be populated from your admin team and will be live for a set amount of time or as they choose. And you are going to be able to see any of these notices populate here. Clicking into them will allow you to see more details. Below your alert boxes, you will have your school KPI information. You'll have two tabs here, a My Students tab and a Whole School tab. The Whole School tab will show you KPIs around attendance, behaviour and attainment, if you choose to show these, for all of the students enrolled in school. You can use on this tab the drop down on the far right hand side to choose which KPIs you want to show here. So if I didn't want to show attainment or behaviour, for example, I can just see my attendance information. You're going to be able to see here the attendance information for all of your students enrolled in school. On the My Student tab, it will focus on just showing you information on the students that you teach. So versus this 700 students in school, I'm just seeing now information for the 55 students in my lessons. I've also got the opportunity here using my right hand drop down to select which KPIs I want to show. I can also select specific demographics within these students that I teach. So for example, I want to see attendance information for all of my pupil premium students that I teach, for example. So you can see here within the number, it's now changed from 55 to 17 because 17 of the students that I teach are pupil premium students. I can clear my filters by clicking on the cross next to them at the top of the setting of the page. I can also choose to look at specific classes. So for example, if I want to look at my attendance information for my computer science year 7 group, I can select that group and it's going to show me just the information for that group. All of my tiles, I can hover over them to get a tooltip explaining the information that is held behind that percentage. And I can see today's average and the average for the year for those students that within that class. I can also dive deeper into these KPIs by clicking into them. This will now show me the information for my attendance for my 28 students within that group. I can look at it in groups. So this is showing me demographic groups and form groups. But what I can do is using my drop down, I can choose what sort of group I want to look at. So if I want to look at them as demographic and inverse for those 28 students, I can see all of my demographic and inverse information. I can also, using extra filters here, if I wanted to see everybody in this class, but who are also pupil premium, for example, it's now going to narrow down my information to my students that are 11 of them in that class that are also pupil premium. Once I've narrowed down my information enough, I'm going to be able to toggle this right hand area to students instead of groups, which is now going to show me the specific information for those 11 students that I'm looking at. So these are pupil premium and within my year 7 class. I'm going to be able to see their attendance today and their attendance on average this year. From this particular point, I'm also going to be able to click on their name, and this is going to take me to their profile where I'm going to be able to delve deeper into their attendance information using my attendance area here, for example, on the left-hand navigation, and delve in deeper into their KPIs and statistics. Does anybody have any questions so far with regards to how to access this information?
No, I think we're just going to collate questions on pieces of paper and we'll look at them after the session.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to move on in that case onto the My Classroom section. So for My Classroom, you will access your classroom information, go into your lesson. So just like when you're going to your lesson dashboard to take register, you can click on your lesson. And you can then click on My Classroom. This is going to take you, once it's set up, to your classroom, but as you can see here, it's not been set up yet. So you will need to set up your classrooms in order to be able to use your seating plans. This can be done in several ways. This will be down to your school to choose, but you will need to have your rooms layouts set up for your classes. So to set up a room layout, you're going to click on OK here. And it's going to allow you to create a new room layout using this green button. You're going to add seats to your layout by clicking on the Add Seat option and simply then clicking again on the grid to add your seats in your class. So for example, let's add a layout here that's all front facing, for example. You can add as many of the seats as you need for your class. You can move them around once they've been added on as well. So for example, you said, right, well, actually, I want to have rows of 3. I can move this out again to like make it nice and neat if I want to. So you can play around with this as much as you need so that your class is set up exactly how you're going to look at it. You will need to give your layout a name. Now, anybody using that specific classroom, so this ICT3, for example, is going to be able to use the layout that you have created going forward. So it's really worth you setting your initials in the layout name so that if the layout needs changing, they will be able to let you know to change that layout if the room has moved around, for example, or if they can always create a new one if they need to. So I'm logged in as Frank Chapman, so I'm going to add my initials and I'm going to call this my Year 7 ICT 3 layout.
Can I just hop in for 1 sec? Sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Just to remind staff that because we're on our second dummy data run, anything that's put on our site now will be wiped at Christmas. So don't kill yourselves making lesson layouts for all your rooms. It'll have to be done from scratch after Christmas. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Once you've saved your layout, you will be able to delete it if you no longer need it. You'll then be able to create new layouts. So if you want to create multiple layouts for one room, you can. By clicking on Create New Layout, you're then going to be able to create another one. So say, for example, you were in a generic classroom, you could then have a group layout, for example, where you might have tables that are grouped together. So you could have a layout like this as well. And then you could create another layout, calling it, for example, C23 group, and creating that layout. What that allows you to do once it's been created will be to flick between the layouts and set up different seating plan for these. Layouts can be carried over year on year, so you won't need to recreate the layouts once they are on your system when you go into the new school academic year. However, obviously your seating plans will need redoing because your students will have been promoted up, so it will be new students in those classes and groups as you've set your new timetable. So these will be obviously need to be done again once you've got your new groups in there. Once you have created your layouts, you'll need to come into the seating plan area. So here at the top, you click on the Edit Seating Plan. Now you're going to be able to select the layout that you need using this drop down at the top. So you can see it's done my front facing one, but if I use my drop down, if I've got multiple layouts, I'll be able to see them all within this drop down, and I'm going to be able to select the seating plan or the layout that I want to use. So I'm going to use my front facing one now. So again, you're going to need to give your seating plan a name. So I'm going to call that Year 7 Key Stage 3 group, for example, that I'm setting it up for. And now I can click on the different seats to assign my student to it. So I'm going to click on my seat and select my students to assign them to that seating plan. You can move students around once you have sat them. So once you've selected a few here, if you do need to move them, simply click on it and you can swap it to someone else. It will just swap them against another student. Once you've set your seating plan, simply click on the Save Seating Plan and it will then be there available to you. You have got an Edit Room Layout option. You can create multiple seating plans. So if you have a different seating plan every term, for example, simply click on Create New Seating Plan. You can give your seating plan a new name. So for example, Summer Term Seating, Year 7, and you can move your students around here and then save that seating plan for summer, for example. You can then select your seating plan that you want to use when you're looking at it. Once you have done your setup, you are ready to go to My Classroom, where you're going to be able to see your information. Now, this is what you're going to see once you have set up. So you saw when I clicked on My Classroom first out, when it wasn't set up, I had to go through the setup. If I close this now and click on My Classroom, it loads straight away the seating plan for my class. And I can see my students here. At any point, I'm going to be able to use these 3 dots on the side. I'm going to be able to change my room layout that I want to look at. If I'd set up a group one, I could swap to that one and see my students that I'd set to that. I can edit my layout and my seating plan on these pages if I want to as well. So if I go back to my first one, I can edit my seating plan here, which will allow me to change or move my students around. You will also have in this area, once you have assessment set up, you're going to be able to display the attainment information for your students in your class too. On your seating plan, you can look at it on a teacher's view, like so, where you have your students' pictures and also any tags from the student's profile. But you can switch this to student view by clicking on the student view option, where it switches off the pictures and simply shows you the student name and any behavioral information here. From your seating plan, you're going to be able to take attendance. By clicking on Take Attendance, you're going to be able to select the student and give them a mark. You will need to save each time, and you will need to save after taking attendance as well by clicking on the Complete Attendance. You can also select multiple. So when you click on Select Multiple, you can select multiple students, and then from here either select a mark to set for all of those, or if you are using behavior, you can record behavior in bulk using these as well. When you record an incident, your school can choose up to 6 behavior types to populate here for quick access, and all of the others will be searchable in this search box. So if we are in the science lab and they've tried to set fire with the Bunsen burners, I can here select my arson one. And as I start typing that behavior incident, I'm going to be able to narrow down my arson behavior type, for example. At this point, I'm going to be able to add a different time if I wish to, but it will automatically populate the time that you're at. The staff involved will be the member of staff that you are logged in as, so yourself, and you'll be able to add an incident summary. So I can, in here, say that they tried to set fire to the blue roll, for example, and I can log my incident. If you have any automatic workflows set up, this will do this for you in the background. You'll simply need to confirm those actions, and it will then follow your behavior policy as it's been set up on your system. You'll also be able to use the zoom at the bottom to zoom out or zoom into your seating plan. You can also record behavior for individual students. So if I needed to go into one student, I can select incident and just record it for that one student at a time. If you see anything ticked in, like so, you will be able to tick out to be able to come out of the record behavior. Then you're going to be able to see your overview in bulk. You can also right click and print your screen if you need to print your seating plan to put in a folder, for example, if you wanted to give it to someone for cover purposes. Are there any questions with regards to the My Classroom area?
Is there any sort of automatic generation of seating plans? And I know there are some seating plan products out there where you can automatically generate according to SEN status and things like that.
No, there isn't currently.
Okay, thank you.
You will need to have certain permissions to set your seating plans. So you'll be able to find those in the users and security area, but you'll be able to find those in there and make sure that you have got the permissions to be able to manage My Classroom seating plans and layouts as well. So for those of you who are within the admin and responsible for handing out the permissions within school and users and security, you'll be able to find that information. So if I go onto my other tab and log in as a different member of staff, Here within users and security, so school and users and security, if you click on the permissions, you can click on Command F or Control F to find the My Classroom permissions. Would help if I did. And as you start typing it, you'll see that it highlights your My Classroom permissions here. So you've got view permissions and you've also got action permissions to be able to make changes to them. So please ensure that the members of staff that need to set these up do have those permissions allocated to them. If you want to set up the areas that are available within your lesson dashboard to select extra contextual information, this is done within school, programs and lesson settings. And within this section, you are going to be able to choose which information is there as standard. So you can choose 4 columns. Those will show as a solid tick. Those with an orange clogs will show you those that can be selected in the drop down. And if you want to hide any information, they can be hidden here as well. Simply click on any of these and then in the slide over, you're going to be able to select those for your staff to see. Any questions with regards to any of these areas?
So those settings you just showed there, they're globally configured, aren't they? They're not on an individual list. Yeah, thank you.
They're global, so that will allow on this lesson dashboard, these will show those 4 columns for everyone as default on the lesson dashboard, and what's available in this drop down here as contextual information for every teacher.
Thank you, that's great.
Any questions with regards to anything that we've looked at so far? I know you're going to take questions afterwards as well, but is there anything that kind of springs to mind?
I've not had any emails or anything with any immediate questions, so nothing at the moment, thank you.
Okay, so just one last couple, just a couple of bits then. Within your lesson dashboard, as well as being able to do immediate attendance, finding demographics and medical conditions, you'll also be able to have an overview of the generic course attendance. So this will show you all attendance marks that they have had within your lessons so far. So you're going to be able to very quickly see anybody with a low attendance if it has affected their attainment, for example, and you're going to be able to download this information. You're also going to be able to see behavior overall across your lessons and also see any assignments and mark sheets as well directly from here. I don't think I've got any mark sheets set up for these students, but you'll be able to find those in those areas as well. Just to show you, if I go into here, showing you a mark sheet so that you can see what that looks like. If I go into a course that has a mark sheet set up. So if you were to go into a mark sheet, once they have been set up, you're going to be able to add your marks in. You can set a date that you're adding your marks for, so it will be set for your term that you're looking at or you're due to add your mark for. You can then click into the individual columns and students to add a mark, or you're going to be able to multi-select them and add a mark in bulk.
Sorry, can I just hop in again, Rebecca? I've had a few emails about an emergency on-call button. So that's a feature within Sims that staff sometimes use. I know it doesn't exist currently in Arbor, but I believe it is planned on the roadmap. Is that your understanding?
I'd have to double check the roadmap. Now, if you go on the help center, you can find the roadmap here. So if you did want to double check, there is a way of accessing the roadmap here. So if there is an on-call button, it will show here. There is a way, the way that we did it. In the meantime, in my school, we had a, for anybody that was on call, we had a profile for that member of staff. So we had an on-call staff profile. So they went about, they had iPads. There are other tablets available out there that they had and that was always logged in as that on-call member of staff. And then when you log the behavior from your lesson dashboard as the incident, so it was a behavior type called on-call or removal, and that automatically sent an email to and a notification to that on-call staff member, so that when they had that tablet, they were able to go directly to that lesson.
That's great. Yeah, we'll have to consider that internally about how we're going to manage it. Thanks.
Any other questions that are popping up?
One's just come in saying, which way round is the seating plan facing? I'm assuming the top of the screen is the front of the classroom. Is that right?
So it's entirely up to you how you want to set that up. So if you want to set a convention,
we could just say to staff, do it that way around. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Oh, I've got one more that's just popped in, sorry. Can behaviour incidents be removed from the student view seating plan so that only names are displayed?
No, currently that is the way it's set up. It's not, you can't remove those at the moment.